Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to the Hot Seat. And in the Hot Seat this evening is that veteran politician, the very inimitable Mr. Vasudeva Nanayakkara. Good evening to you, Mr. Vasudeva.
Good evening.
And it's nice to see you here. But always when we have invited you on these programs, it is because the public conscience has been seriously aroused. And in this matter, there are several instances of why the public should become wary. And one, of course, is in recent days and weeks, actually, we have seen a sustained attack, if you like, a verbal attack on the Auditor General. And why is it, to begin with, is it fair that the Auditor General's is being so attacked by politicians?
It is our tradition, and also it is the unwritten law that the Auditor General is above such harsh treatment, that his reports are made to the Parliament, and he is responsible only to the Parliament, and any issues about him should be raised in the Parliament. That is the tradition and the written law and the unwritten custom.
And so, you know, as much as people have made traditions, traditions have made the people. And in that context, is the Minister of Finance out of order in being so critical of the Auditor General?
The Minister of Finance has been out of step and has been abnormal in his approach on many issues. But on the matter of the Auditor General's report, since it came to the COPE, the Minister of Finance appears to be as if he is in a hot seat.
Yes, he hasn't been on the hot seat yet. So very odd situation. But when that happens, when we have the Auditor General being criticized and heavily berated by various people, is that an indication that the people should be rather wary about what's happening and suspicious?
Yes. The fact that the Auditor General gave a report and the fact that there had been nearly intimidatory questioning by UNP MPs in the COPE committee, and the Auditor General's comments about what he went through while he was writing this report and going through this investigation. All this put together now gives us the impression that the government, the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, they don't want this report to be taken seriously. They want to bury this report.
They want to bury the report.
They attack the Auditor General on one or the other count in order to ultimately say that the Auditor General is prejudiced, biased. If that is the case, like in the case of a Supreme Court judge, the available remedy is to come to Parliament and move a motion, substantive motion about the Auditor General, which would be debated and which would ultimately, after a select committee goes into the matter, report back to Parliament, and the Parliament ultimately determines what really it is all about, whether the Auditor General has had lapses or had acted contrary to his mandate or had done exactly what he is expected to do.
And Mr. Vasudeva, what about the matter of the, you know, we have to go back at the beginning. This government has not even barely 2 months into play. February, towards the end of February 2015, something happened which is now known as Bondgate, not Watergate, but Bondgate. And so in Bondgate, it's nearly 2 years that it was issued, the bond. It's about a month short of 2 years. And isn't it astonishing that what has been described as one of Sri Lanka's greatest ever frauds perpetrated against the people of this country has taken so long to get resolved? Why is it that the Prime Minister and his ministers, why is it that they are showing such singular disinterest in bringing this matter to a logical, natural conclusion?
What could have happened is for the COP committee to go into it and report to the Parliament, which was prevented by the Parliament having become dissolved at that time.
Mm-hmm.
That was within 3 months of the Bondgate, as you say. Then after the new Parliament came in, the new committee was set up and it was resent to that committee, which took a long time because of the difficulty in proceeding with the inquiry. As the chairman of the committee said, for the interventions and intrusions into his area of authority by some members of the COP, and finally he brings it out and it's before Parliament, and when it came before Parliament it took another long time for the Speaker to decide on what he would do about it, before which the Prime Minister acted impromptuli.
Yes.
And sent the report, or he said he is sending the report to the AG.
What is the right of the Prime Minister to do that? Is he making up the rules as he goes along?
Yes, the Parliament is the sole authority.
But the Prime Minister is not the Parliament.
The Prime Minister is not the Parliament, as you say,
Yeah.
but Prime Minister is able to command the majority in the Parliament. Therefore, he carries the Parliament with him, even when he is doing the wrong thing.
I say.
That is exactly what happens
That is the danger.
on a daily basis.
But that is the danger of democracy.
Well, that is the danger of the opposition being
So lame.
not lame, the opposition being so cunningly dismantled.
I see.
The opposition is there, 52 members, and if you count the opposition from the time of the election, there were 90 odd, of which 40 odd joined the government without a mandate from the people.
Right.
And then the balance 52 wishes to be the opposition. But then the Speaker wouldn't have that to happen. That again is because the Prime Minister has the majority and he decides what the Speaker does.
Is it time for us to have one-man rule?
It is gradually becoming one-man rule, and he would like to have all the executive powers in his hands in the guise of a parliamentary democracy, and leaving nothing to the President as it presently prevails, so that he will be the sole power in a parliament in which he commands a majority, and within the cabinet he will be the top dog,
The super minister.
super minister.
On that note, we'll take a short break and come right back. Don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Hello, good evening and welcome back to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat today is Mr. Vasudeva Nanayakkara, that veteran politician. Mr. Vasudeva, what is happening And why is it that the National Audit Commission bill is not come to Parliament? Have you all forgotten about it?
No. National Audit Commission bill really seeks to empower the Auditor General and the Auditor General's department in order to carry out their duties and functions more independently, more efficiently, and it is supposed to be one of the several independent commissions. But the law relating to it has been delayed up to now. A bill has to be brought before Parliament in order to set up this audit commission. But this bill is not coming forth, and I raised a question in Parliament, why is the delay and what is happening? Then they came out with an answer to the effect that there were problems here and there, few matters to be raised and resolved. There were other sections who didn't agree, see eye to eye with this, and a rigmarole. And ultimately said, therefore we are now trying to bring it before the Parliament, quickly a bill, but it is taking time. We are not responsible for it. That's what they said.
So they don't seem to be in any hurry.
No, they don't seem to be in any earnest, leave alone the hurry.
That could be because the Auditor General is being, if the Prime Minister is the Super Minister, then the Auditor General must be the super independent man on behalf of the people.
Yes.
And so that may be because he's not playing ball with them.
Yes, the Auditor General or the Police Commission or the other commissions that were set up, like the Elections Commission, they are in operation.
They're not supposed to be playing ball.
No, they are in operation in a very lukewarm way.
Right.
Yet, as you see the Police Commission, the chairman would resign.
Yeah.
Because perhaps he didn't find anything purposeful to do in the commission in the context of this government's interferences. That's the only conclusion that one could draw. Then you find the Asoka Piris, the chairman of the Delimitation Commission, who says the minister was harassing him in order to lengthen and prolong the process. And can you have a minister whose appointed commission chairman says this minister was doing exactly the opposite of what he was supposed to do to prevent the commission bringing forth the report? Then now we have the Auditor General's Audit Commission, which is very simply not going through because the Auditor General is a strong-willed man who is not prepared to cow down.
Long may he be like that, and long may he live, actually, because he's doing an invaluable service to the people.
Absolutely, otherwise most of it would have been covered up.
Indeed. We must hail him
Yes,
collectively.
the worst robbery in this country, robbing the central bank and the EPF both at the same time.
So they believed in doing things in stereo. But you know, if it isn't so serious, it would be a joke. But it is serious, and the fact of the matter is that when we re-examine and keep looking at it, there appears to be no other logical conclusion other than to say that the central bank and the EPF have both been raped comprehensively of their monies.
Yes.
And yet we have a selection of members of Parliament who simply refuse to acknowledge that.
Well, no, the Parliament is not to be blamed. Up to now, the Parliament has been at the COPE committee and had been pursuing this, at least those who could voice within the limitations that have been placed. And the COPE committee, with members' participation, were able to ultimately bring out this report. This report is invaluable. But for this report, we would have had nothing.
Correct. What would that be?
And it includes the Auditor General's report,
Yeah.
which is conclusive about auditing, which is conclusive about figures, statistics.
Yes, he's quantified the initial loss on the day that the bond was issued, and up to, I believe, 2 days thereafter, of 1.6 billion rupees.
Yes.
That's an astonishing amount of money. It
For the
may
first
qualify.
time.
It may qualify, Mr. Vasudeva, for a Guinness Book of World Records entry.
I have no idea about
No,
that.
we don't. I have written to the editors and asked them. I haven't had a reply yet. But it could well be in the reckoning for the highest amount of money commercially made in a period of 48 hours.
And robbed from the
Robbed,
people,
yes.
virtually robbed, according to the ultimate conclusion
Yeah.
of the COPE committee, and according to the loss incurred as
Yeah.
reported by the Auditor General. There could be nothing else to describe it except as a robbery, daylight robbery.
And that's absolutely true. But is it too much to think as to what would have happened had the story not broken out? It all started off with a small article in the Sunday Times, and it was picked up by Newsfirst, and thereafter it caught the imagination and the attention of politicians like you and civil society people and so on. But is it too much to think about what would have happened had this not happened and Mr. Mahendran had carried on? Would there been?
It's
would there have been-
unthinkable. Unthinkable. What could have been the fate of this country and our finances would have been unthinkable.
On that note, let's think about having a break, and don't go away. After all, this is the Hot Seat. Welcome back to the Hot Seat. In the Hot Seat is Mr. Vasudeva Nanayakkara. Mr. Nanayakkara, the President has stepped in and appointed a presidential commission to look into this bond matter, and Parliament has debated it and unanimously authorised the Speaker to send it off to the Attorney General. Is there a mismatch, or do they work in tandem? The wonderful word being used by the government on another matter, but how does it work?
Well, the President has made up his mind to go into the matter more fully, and take action appropriately. He had even said, under the criminal law. So that gives me confidence.
Right.
But to my mind, as a lawyer and a politician, I don't see that there should have been a gap between the conclusion of the Parliament and the prosecution by the Attorney General. Well, if the President would want to have this committee to probe into the different other aspects of the matter, as it particularly relates to finance of the country, and in order to ascertain who really are behind this, well, it is welcome. But for me, as I see, this probe by the Commission can go on, it is quite welcome, but the Attorney General at the same time could proceed with his duty cast on him to prosecute this man, Arjun Mahendran, and Aloysius Mahendran, or Arjun Aloysius,
Yes,
as is
Arjun
known.
Mahendran, yes.
Yes. For it is conclusive and beyond reasonable doubt there is cogent evidence that they have been involved together.
So
in
why
a
are they
racket.
Why are they waiting?
We have to ask the Attorney General to speak.
But will he be justified if he says, well, look, I can't talk to you chaps because you're the media?
Well, if he says, I cannot speak to you, I cannot talk to you, he might as well say why he wouldn't want to prosecute straight away based on this evidence.
If he
For
doesn't...
lesser matters, for very much lesser matters, the police, the CID, Attorney General would ask statements to be recorded from the persons who are the suspects, and then take them to the court. The courts remand them for very much lesser matters. That shows
Do you think the Attorney
what's going
Gen-
on.
Yes. Do you think the Attorney General is living within an ambience of a real fear psychosis, in fear of politicians, of the ruling party?
I am frightened to think so, but I am concerned that the Attorney General should he has a duty to make the public aware of what he is doing and why he is doing or why he is not doing, and what we don't want all the confidential matters revealed to the public, but the straightforward answer about the committee's conclusion and the matter in the hands of the Attorney General, what criminal liability lies in respect of the matter. The Attorney General could speak as much as the Attorney General has spoken.
Indeed. But there are so many matters that need the attention of members of Parliament like yourself. And the list is absolutely almost endless, and it is the bond scam, the coal scam, the outer circular highway, the Central Expressway, the Hambantota port, the Mattala airport, the land in Slave Island, and the loan from Mitsubishi Tokyo Bank, where the rate of the insurance is set at an astonishing 10.07%, is 7 years after the end of the war, advance payment of $107 million authorized at the behest of the Prime Minister. And, you know, the list is endless. Another 100 and something, 10 million to cancel the order with Sri Lankan Airlines. And the list is absolutely endless. Where will it all end?
Well, I don't think we should get involved in too many issues, though we have to rightly go into each one of those matters you mentioned, because this bond gate or the bond scam involving the public finances of the central bank and the EPF is sufficient a load for us presently to ultimately be put on a resting place before we think of anything else. Otherwise, we would be
Everywhere.
everywhere but nowhere. And I don't see how a country can be going on as if we are under normal conditions, as if we are everything is quite normal, when such a huge financial scandal has hit the very heart of the country's finances.
And that too from the hard-working people's monies, because the bulk of those bonds was sold to the EPF in what is known as a secondary market, and it has cost, somebody has estimated the losses of the EPF in that period to be a staggering 14 billion rupees. 14 billion
How many
rupees.
transactions?
And how many transactions?
In three transactions.
Well, over 2 bonds.
Over 2 bonds.
Yes.
Now, the central bank has lost 1.6 billion. EPF loses
that was just
in the first issue.
That's right, and that was only over a period of 2
then
days.
If you work out that interest rate and ascertain the losses for the subsequent bonds, then you come to a staggering amount.
Indeed.
So we better keep exclusively involved and directed at this daylight robbery of the public finances, which will be a turning point, which will be once we get to some point of conclusion, it will be a turning point for this government and also a turning point for the public to know where they stand.
Do you think that the final question, do you think that this bond matter will be the Achilles heel for the Prime Minister?
Achilles heel would be a considerate comparison. Achilles heel would be a considerate comment.
Right.
I would say that would be the fire in his stomach.
That's what it will be.
Yes,
It won't be butterflies.
won't be butterflies.
Vasudeva
Fire-
Rajakara, thank you very much for being in the hot seats. It's been a great pleasure having you, and we look forward to welcoming you on Newsline one of these days. It's an early start, though.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On that note, that's it from the hot seat. We trust you enjoyed the program, and we look forward to seeing you same time, same place next Wednesday, straight after the news at 9:30. Take care. Good night.